All right, well, hello everyone. My name's Ian Weaver. I'm here with John Tice and Mimi. Everybody knows Mimi. And we're here today just to talk about what it is to be an agent, what it is to be an agent in the 21st century. And we brought Mimi on to talk to us about the best way to see us. So, Mimi, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, Ian, I've been in real estate since 1980 when we moved here, and needless to say, things are a little bit different today than they were in 1980 as far as the real estate world is concerned.
Now, currently you're running a real estate school in the area.
Yes. I am a broker with Jack On. And in 1988, I had the opportunity to buy this school and did, and have absolutely loved it.
So you've seen a little bit of change in how real estate is performed and studied and offered since that time through today.
My God, yes.
Well, that's why we have you here today.
That's right.
Because most people only know what's going on right now.
Yes. And
Well,
there is the biggest difference between the way real estate agents behaved then and the way they behave today. And the difference is really because the people in 1980, most of them had no formal real estate education. Their education was the experience that they had in the industry.
Here's the desk, here's the phone, good luck.
Yes.
Sell something.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's how I started.
Well, you said it was...
I wasn't allowed a desk until I sold something, so here's a phone, good luck.
Ian, what year did you come into the business?
Well, 1994.
94.
94, yeah.
Okay, so that was...
Kids. You're a kid.
I know, right? I'm still a little wet right back there. You gotta dry that up.
John and I had been in the business better than 15 years at that point. Wow.
Well, Mimi, could you do me a favor and just tell them, I know, we're not scripting here, but I want to know about what it was to be a woman in real estate then compared to a woman in real estate today and what you've seen. I know it's a big, it could be a huge question, but I think it's important for people to know.
Well, there certainly were not as many of us in real estate then as there are today.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, Ian, that particularly strikes me is that people who were coming into real estate in the late 80s and 90s were a different age bracket than what's coming into real estate today. What I've been noticing, believe it or not, in the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
is that the age of the new person coming into real estate is much, much, much younger. It used to be that most of the people that I had in class were people over 55. That's not the case today. The class that I currently am teaching, I would say, has maybe 1 or 2 people that are over 35.
Really?
Honestly, that's the biggest change that I have seen.
Well, that actually talks a lot to the statistics that that a lot of us probably are reading in the National Association of Realtors and PAR that are giving out statistics that the Xers, those who are, basically that age group that's absent in selling. So that's why the average age of the real estate agent, it's in excess of 57 now.
Yes.
So, and it's not getting any younger. When I came in, it was 55, and now, again, that's only a couple years ago, right? So, it's just increasing. But I'm glad to hear there's more young people coming in.
That is definitely changing. Honestly, I'm just appalled at the numbers of young people that I've had in my class in the last, I would say, year.
Now you'd say appalled in a good way?
Oh, yes.
So you're surprised.
I'm surprised because they can relate to the younger buyers.
Sure.
And I often wondered what young married couple who's looking to buy their first home would think when every agent that they went to talk to or had a dealing with was somebody over 55.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you wonder if you were a youngster, why?
Mm-hmm.
What is there about this industry that hasn't attracted young people?
Now let me ask you, if it's a young group coming in, what's their expectation of the business? Do they see it as being a hard business? Is it an easy business? It's always been an easy business to enter, but to prosper and be successful, probably not that easy if you'd ask those of us that have been around.
It's true. It isn't easy. But you've got these people full of energy, full of ambition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can work 12 hours and sleep a few hours and get up the next day and do the same thing over again. Not so easy when you're 55, 60, 65.
Well, Mimi, could you talk to me about some of the things that you're seeing with this newer generation coming in? I know we as Jack-On agents, in the management side, run into this issue of online training versus in-classroom training as far as going for your licensing. Could you just speak to us about that, what you're seeing?
Yes, I can. What I'm seeing, Ian, is people who have tried to do their classes online have ended up in my school. And I think the biggest problem is that there's no actual discussion between an instructor and the student when they have a question. I have gotten into the habit of telling stories that are part of my own experience. When I'm teaching a topic that's a little difficult to understand, I find that it's easier for them to absorb if I can tell them a story that relates to that particular issue, something that I actually experienced.
Sure.
And they'll remember the story. And therefore they will remember the issue that we were discussing when we got to that particular issue and I told that story. That's what they remember.
Yeah, I think you speak to a really important thing about the being in person and training is that, I know when I was in college and we went through ethics, classes and also through ethics training as being as an agent, it's that narrative that sticks with you. You're not going to remember all these little principles and tips and techniques until you have that thing that jogs your memory, like a good joke or just a funny situation.
Totally.
I think they don't get that in the online course because I've looked at some of the ones that have been presented to me, and it is information only, and we're on a people business.
That's right.
It doesn't work very well for a lot of people.
Well, I know for me, I'm way too social. As much as I like computers and toys, to do something for 60 hours in front of a computer, you'd find me in the corner just falling apart.
Extremely difficult. Extremely difficult.
It is.
Well, not also to mention I know when I went through your classes, getting my license, going pre-licensing and everything, I spent so much time with people that I ended up working with later, learning about different firms, how people do things differently, because you can only learn so much in that 60 hours, and it's also the after hours activities that happened after your classes. I mean, we'd all get together later and talk about what we learned, what we're not learning, and what's tough for us. And that's invaluable when you go 4 or 5 years into your real estate career. You have to talk to these people, and you have that shared commonality. You can work with buyers and sellers easier because you know the person on the other side of the table. So
you used the word, Ian, sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we teach is that when you have had a transaction that has been unusual in any way, where you have learned something different in that particular transaction, share it. Share it with the other agents in your office, because it might be some time before they get to the point where they have that same kind of experience. And again, that sharing is something they will remember.
Yeah, the story.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's I'll have to. I know in my tomorrow when we have our sales meeting, our Tuesday morning gatherings, I'm sure I'll bring that up. You know, to share the stories, and they do around the water cooler after, especially the real meeting, as John Tice tells me, happens after the sales meeting.
At one time, it happened in the cars when we went and toured all the properties that were the new listings for the week, and many agents still miss that part of the business because that's gone away.
You don't do that anymore?
No, very few offices go out and tour the properties physically week after week. Today, it's a virtual tour or a slideshow of the property, maybe a video. But no, we don't really get out and see them that often.
Oh, wow, that's sad. I think I would have missed that extremely.
Well, with the new agents that I'm working with in some of our education programs, I threw them in the car. We went and visited a new home community because on the way we discovered they didn't know even what type of heat they had in their own home, much less how to go look at a furnace and say what's out there.
Yeah.
So there's that real practical piece that I think you can learn every week, much less the conversations, whether it was flood insurance, what we did to get away from it, what we ran into on a home inspection, what we did to resolve some of these things. That there's always been a great value to that, but sadly we're getting away from that.
I think that's sad.
But I also think there's a tremendous opportunity for the ones that are out getting that education and having that interaction, that they're going to do very well.
Yes.
But you can't wait for somebody to take you by the hand. You need to go ask a question. I think that's the big difference today. Those things just occurred today. You have to go out, kind of like when we started.
Yes.
Here's your phone. Well, where do we begin? You need a strong mentor. You need a strong leader in your office.
Yes, you do.
And you need a passion to go find this stuff out. You can't wait for the business to come.
No,
that's one thing has
not changed. You've got to go looking for it.
It just doesn't. There's not a phone app. As much as everybody like to believe we can generate leads on an app, sometimes you actually have to go talk to people. Meet them in the street shoveling snow.
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole idea of going out and you have to meet 10 people this week, 10 new people. You got to give out your card or get 10 cards from other people. I mean, that whole concept is frightening.
Yes.
But it's also the way to set yourself apart and look like somebody that's really in the business today. That just hasn't changed.
It's contacts. You're right, Ian.
So, what's your favorite phone app?
I'm sorry.
Just checking.
I told you. That's not me. I'm not this. I don't do this.
You don't do the thumb prayer? You're not there?
What's that one?
That's where you're just doing this all day long. You're like, that's all you do. You do this all day long. You're just doing your thumb dance.
That's what the younger people do, I know, but no.
There is a place for that, but that's not...
I like to hear the voices. I don't like to read the messages. I've told my children, don't text me because I'll never get the message. I need to talk to you. There's so much you learn from the sound of that voice. You know whether that person's happy with you, unhappy with you, and texting doesn't tell you anything.
Now, Ian, I know you heard part of this conversation, but the cute thing was, as we were setting up here today, Mimi's first comment when she saw the video come up and the audio, what was it? But she commented, what a great way to do business. You could have your client on the other end on a camera, on a cell phone, whether it's a FaceTime call, a Skype call.
Yes.
And be able to negotiate with them so much better simply because we get to see their expression, we get to
Yes.
see
We know the
their animation,
reactions.
we get the reaction.
Yes.
No, it's a great medium to be able to span. Basically, we're spanning time. We're gaining time because we're not in the same location right now.
Absolutely.
And we can still have this great conversation. We can still see each other and how we're interacting with one another. It's a wonderful medium.
Yeah, and I thought that was just very, very cool for a lady that doesn't have an app and doesn't want to do that. That the first thing she saw was what a great way to do business, and that's of course.
That's a true realtor right there. I mean, she's thinking about the sale. How do I negotiate? How do I get this job done?
Well, she proved to us that we're on the right track. That's exactly why we decided to do this in the first place.
Yeah, you definitely are on the right track.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
Unfortunately, he's not buying anything from me. Not yet.
Soon.
There's time.
Well, suppose I were the buyer, and I'm not a techie. I'd just be thrilled at this.
Mm-hmm.
I really and truly would.
You're thrilled with it now, so it's obviously a win.
But it is a neat way. So if I was meeting with you, and maybe you have a son that lives at a distance, we could bring him into the conversation.
Absolutely.
And he could be involved in everything right from the start. We don't have to fly him in from Charlotte. We don't have to do anything to bring everyone together, just to do a simple explanation of how we'll market the home, the value, the contract, and of course he could have his own set of documents at his end. And I think this would be a very rich way to do business.
And
Absolutely.
it's delightful. It's like there are three of us.
He actually looks better on the screen than he does in person, which I think is good.
Yeah.
I guess he was complimenting you, Ian.
It was kind of a compliment.
It was around. It went around.
He was thinking his way through.
Well, I think this is a very, very good idea. Honestly, I do. And it certainly will add to the agent's storage of knowledge.
Well, depending which guests we get on,
Yeah. It could just be the three of us. So exactly, Mimi, just kind of to wrap us up, going forward in 2014 and beyond, where do you see real estate as far as what's going to be the next thing? Right now, we're kind of like I think John and I are pretty firm believers that video is going to be the next thing in real estate. But from your end, from what you're seeing on the education side, what do you see being the next tool? Because I think we're all on the same page that online's good, but it's just not good enough.
And the reason it's not good enough, John, is because there is no interaction between the instructors and the students. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing that's missing. I think that John was right when he says, yeah, you can present the facts, but because you're dealing with people in a real estate transaction, it's got to be more than facts. And I think the only way that's going to happen is if the student in the pre-license course gets a feeling for dealing with people, not just dealing with facts. You know as well as I do that the thing that makes a real estate transaction a pleasant experience is that individual's feeling of trust in that agent, relaxation with that agent, honestly feeling that the agent's looking out for him or her. And that's got to start in the training class.
So
it doesn't start when you've passed your licensing exam and now you're associated with a broker. because at that point you as an agent are expecting to be earning money, having transactions. And you don't think you need to learn anything at that point. You think you know it all.
Hey, that hasn't changed in a long time.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty standard. I thought that was a requirement to get your license, that you knew it all. But you bring up a point that I just want to maybe I want to just talk about a little bit more, and that is the idea that, do you think some of the younger agents or anyone doing online training only is getting a bad perception of what real estate really is? It's not just the information.
I don't think they're getting any perception. There are no stories, no real life experiences that are being told them.
Mm-hmm.
They're being told facts. They can get those facts from reading a book. That's what an online course is like, as far as I'm concerned. Mm. It's just reading the book. And that's not what I do. It's not what the instructors who taught my pre-license courses did.
And it's certainly what we deal with every day.
Yes.
Saturday I had a listing appointment. I met with 3 heirs. They're selling Dad's home. He just passed away. The mother and father passed away 30 days apart.
Oh, gosh.
And there's a group just having a hard time coming to deal with the idea that they're doing this at all in this short period of time. And it's been months, but they're really not ready to let go, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But with this winter being the way it is, it's inconvenient for everybody, and I believe it's finally become inconvenient enough, and they recognize that there's a real benefit to just taking action and getting their lives back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an interesting time. We actually talked very little about the house. We talked everything about their situation and how they got here and what happened to the parents.
And that was necessary for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, do you learn anything about that online? Ian, do you think?
No, no. I wouldn't be able to get my my therapy card on an online course. But no, I mean, yeah, and most of our job is to listen. We just open up we just open it up and allow them to talk, and it sounds like exactly what John did. Is just gave them the opportunity to express themselves, and now they're going to be able to close this chapter in their life,
right.
And which will be a great part of the healing process. Not that I'm a therapist, but just throwing it out there that moving on is good.
I think what John did was really necessary for them.
Mm-hmm.
They needed you to bring it to this point.
Mm-hmm. And we met in the snow, which I think is, I'm very proud of. We didn't take a snow delay. We still showed up. They
Exactly.
were there, and I was happy to show up, which is my pet peeve this week, is that nobody shows up as soon as there's any possibility of snow. We're worse than the school districts. I don't get it. And it's been hurting me for 2 weeks now. So,
John, we had a call this morning about a class that's to be held tomorrow morning.
And what are you going to do? Are you going to cancel it?
Right.
Yeah. I live with a school teacher. Even she's tired of snow delays and wants to go back to school. Best thing they did was this has been a lot of fun, and
Thank you.
I really appreciate you joining in and playing with us, and Ian's new brainchild here. And it worked, Ian. So how cool is that?
I know I'm even impressed because that doesn't happen often. But I didn't think this would go off very well. But Mimi, I am so thankful that you said yes.
Oh, I was delighted to do it, Ian. I want to say one other thing,
Mm-hmm.
if I may.
Absolutely.
And that is that in all of the years that I have been teaching, and let's see, 98, 2008, 25 years, there are a lot of students that I have taught that are still part of the real estate business.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of the change in ethics in this business,
Mm-hmm.
in the period from 1980 until now, and I think about how that has changed the reputation of the business. That could never have happened, Ian, if all the students from that period of time, 1980 until now, had taken their courses online. If there had been online courses then.
Mm-hmm.
They would never have had the stories told to them about the way there were unethical things done in the early 80s. And there were. There were people in the business who had never had a course. You didn't need the education that far in the 70s. And there needed to be ethical requirements. There needed to be discussions about ethical matters so that students could understand what they could possibly face by way of ethical problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's not uncommon to have these discussions in class today. What would you do if this were the situation? How would you handle it? You don't get that online.
No, you're right. You don't get that online, and that's part of the problem with the medium that just online courses. It does give a lot of information, and we do see that people get educated. John has mentioned about a lot of the people coming in. They're smart. They're really smart, but they overthink it. Yeah, they're not. They think they need to have the absolute right answer, and most times they think way past it.
For the test, absolutely, they're thinking way past the test.
Yeah. But again, Mimi, thank you for coming out today. Thank you for sharing this this first venture with John and I, and I really appreciate you spending the time taking your President's Day.
Thank you for asking me. I really enjoyed it.
How fun are we?
Yeah.
Good luck with the rest of your program.
Oh, thanks.
All right. Thank you. All right, John, you want to send us out?
Man. Way to anchor the first session here on Realty Talk, and I guess we'll do this again.
Yeah, we will. All right. So this is Ian signing off, Realty Talk, and with my co-host John and Mimi. Special thank you to you. And Mimi, how would somebody find you if they needed to find you today?
They would find me at the Institute of Real Estate Studies in Camp Hill.
Great.
Cedar Cliff Drive in Camp Hill.
And we know you have a website, so they can Google that. They'll be right there. That's the big easy button.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and we'll put a link in with the show notes on the YouTube video.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for your time, and thanks for your expertise, and I know we'll see you again. We always do. All right, Ian, thanks a lot.
Right. Thank
you. Everybody, see you on our next adventure.
All right. Take care.